Hello friends, welcome back to this Faith Talk, and I want to encourage you today, and I hope what I share, it might be an encouragement to your life. We have been talking about what do you do when you face with some challenges, crisis and problems. Suddenly out of nowhere you face some critical problem, and maybe it might be at your workplace, might be at your family, or it might be as now many people are going through this health crisis. So what do you do in those moments when you're faced with some real tough problems? Do you just allow your life to spiral down and watch it going, and crashing, or would you do something? As we were talking about from the Gospel of Mark chapter 5 verses 21 onwards, there was a ruler, his name was Jairus. One day he found his daughter who was sick and was at the point of death. So it was a crisis, it was a problem. What do you do in that moment? Even though you are a ruler, a powerful person, a person in authority, all of us can face with some real life-altering situation and problems. In those moments, we see this father, he did not keep himself at home and see his daughter just die, but he took some action. We talked about how when he came to seek help or meet Jesus, he was surrounded by a large crowd. And we see oftentimes when we come with our problems, we almost feel like we are lost in that crowd of humanity. A lot of people are carrying their own problems. They are struggling each day, and who will ever listen to us? Who will even want to be bothered by what we are going through? This father could have thought about that, but he came to Jesus. And I talked about this might not be just a story about a father and daughter. It might be some spiritual disconnect you are feeling. Something deep down that God is asking you to do, and you are not able to move forward. Many times that's called as a spiritual crisis. We feel so disengaged, disconnected from God. But today I want to encourage you, like this father, he did not keep himself away. In midst of that crowd, he tried to reach because his daughter was dying. This daughter can be a dream that God has put in your heart. And what do you do in that moment when you feel like that dream of yours is dying? It has been something very close to your heart, and you know that God has called you to fulfill that. This father knew exactly what was going on because he was not a distracted, disengaged father. Rather, he was someone who was so close to his daughter. Thirdly, we also saw that he did everything in his power. He did not keep himself thinking, why me? Rather, why now I can do? What can I do now? So those are the things when we face with challenges, when we face with problems, what do we do? But here I want to shift this story. If you read that gospel, the scripture, the sacred text, we see that suddenly as the father is walking back to his home, there is a woman who is coming who has been sick for a long time, 12 years. Suddenly from that crowd, she moves forward and touches the hem of or the cloak of Jesus. And as soon as she touched, she was healed. And Jesus stops in midst of that crowd and asks, who touched me? People were amazed and surprised. Even his disciples say, Master, everybody is crowding on you and you're asking, who touched you? Everybody is touching you. But Jesus said, no, someone touched me and the power has gone from me. And this woman who was healed suddenly came in and narrated or told everybody about that story. Now listen to this. The father is already going through this crisis and the problem. In midst of his problem, there is someone else who is coming there, going through some severe crisis for a long time. The father is coming to ask help for his daughter, but at the same time this woman who is lonely. In that culture, there is no one who would represent her. She is not the one who is always hurt. And what do? And this woman comes through that and tries to touch and reach out to Jesus. Where there was nobody standing up for her, she had to reach out. Many times we feel like there's no one who is going to take up my case. Look at this woman. And this story is being played right in front of Father's eyes, in front of Father's problem, crisis. He might be thinking this is not the right time for this woman to come. He might be thinking this is going to really create problem for my own daughter. Oftentimes when we are consumed by our own problem, we almost think every other thing or every other people is a distraction, and they should not be doing, or they should not be here at all. This father might have thought about it. But listen to this. I want to encourage you today. Many times things that are happening around us or in front of us has something to do with our own life or our own story or our own problem. We need to connect those dots, and God is bringing those things for a purpose. Think about it. Moses in the Old Testament, he was going through his own personal crisis, problems. He had ran away from the palace in Egypt, and he was now living in the mountains with his father-in-law taking care of his sheep. At that time we see suddenly a burning bush, and this Moses walks close to that, and in that problem, a burning bush, it was a problem. He thought, what a strange sight. This shouldn't be happening right now. But as he walks towards that, he was able to connect with his life purpose or his calling. Think about David as a young boy. One day his father sent him to inquire about his brothers who were in the army. David had never thought about getting into a fight there. But as he moves there, inquire about his brother, and he see Goliath standing there and kind of, calling out and speaking all these things against the Israelites. Suddenly something within him connected with what God was calling him, and he steps into that battlefield and he challenges Goliath. Listen to this. Oftentimes the things that is happening right in front of us has something to do with deep inside us. We should not think that is as a discouragement or a distraction or something, a problem. Many times we give up on that. This father might have thought, why now this woman had to come and take away the time of the master or Jesus? He was actually coming to help me. Now all this thing has been derailed. But in fact, she was the one who was going to play a vital role, because this father could see right in front of his eyes how the power of God was able to restore, heal, and revive that was lost. Today I want to encourage you. Many things that is happening around us, we don't really pay attention to that. I want you to connect to the stories or the pain or the problems of others. Even when we are going through those crises, personal crisis, it doesn't mean that the world has to stop or we have to stop. We have to look and listen to others' pain, and in their story, maybe God is putting something powerful that will connect with what He is doing in our lives. So today I want to encourage you today. May God lead you to that place of fulfilling the dreams. Like for his father, the crisis or the problem he was facing was found in another story which was playing right in front of his eyes. God bless you.